Okay, Your Worship.
All right, we're good to go, right on time. So I will call this special meeting of council to order. And we have 3 items of business to take care of. And these have been discussed, and these are now synopsis and motions being brought to council. So I'm going to ask for the first item, salary administration policy amendments. I'm going to ask Councillor Landry if you wouldn't mind presenting the synopsis and the motion, please.
Certainly, Your Worship. Thank you. Upon the appointment of a new Chief Administrative Officer this year, it has resulted in a required realignment of duties in several key areas within the organization. The realignment is based on the current skill sets of the existing employees, optimization of the existing human resources, and building for long-term success and succession. As a result, 5 new director positions are being created, namely Director of Fire Services, Director of Operations. Could you scroll back up, please?
Scroll up a little bit more, Natalie.
You having technical problems?
Right there.
A
Sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Are you guys?
little bit. Could
Director of
everybody
Fire
who's not
Services.
speaking mute? Thank you.
Sorry, Your Worship.
No, there you are. Go ahead, Councillor Landry.
Okay, Director of Fire Services, Director of Operations, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives, Director of Corporate Communications and Community Wellbeing, which includes responsibilities as Municipal Clerk, Director of Solid Waste and Bylaw Enforcement. Also, as a result of the sale of the Cumberland Joint Services Management Authority, the landfill, we have established a position of Solid Waste Education and Coordination Officer. The realignment of duties will also see the creation of a new land use planner position that will allow Andrew Fisher more time to focus on the strategic priorities of council and has the potential to generate some income through possible sale of service to other units. The final proposed change is to move the deputy clerk to a supervisor level, as this position will be taking on more responsibility related to meetings, council agendas, etc. The above realignment will result in approximately $35,000 in annual savings to the town. So I'll put forward the following motion: that the following amendments to the salary administration policy 4530-01 be approved, namely to add the positions of Director of Communications and Community Wellbeing, Director of Operations, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives, Director of Fire Services, Director of Solid Waste and Bylaw Enforcement, Land Use Planner, and Solid Waste Education and Coordination Officer. And further, to remove the position of Deputy CAO, Municipal Clerk, and the position of Town Engineer effective in November upon the retirement of the incumbent. So moved, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. I need a seconder so we can discuss this. Councillor Baker, your hand's up. Are you seconding the motion?
Yes, I'm seconding it in order to get it on the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. So are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Councillor Baker.
Yeah, Your Worship, members of council, I'd like to make an amendment to this motion. When you look it over, we got it. The last line of it says a position of town engineer be removed. We have a community center we're looking at. We're looking in expanding our industrial park. We got many other projects coming up. As the biggest municipality in the area, I think we should keep a town engineer position in place, but I'd like to have that removed out of this motion. Hopefully council will have a seconder to follow that amendment so we can discuss it.
All right. I guess then we would need a seconder for the amendment. And if we get that, is it Councillor Emery? You're seconding?
Yes, I can second that.
All right. I would like to then turn the floor over to CAO Jason McDonald to maybe explain why the position of town engineer at the current time isn't, in his opinion, needed.
Thank you, Your Worship. Basically, the town engineer position can be accommodated within the other non-unionized positions that we have, being the director of operations, the facilities manager, the asset capital asset coordinator position will be able to absorb some of the duties of the town engineer. Also, with this, there has to be a town engineer, but they don't have to be an engineer. So with some of the realignment, I will be appointing Aaron Bourgeois as the town engineer for the purposes of the Municipal Government Act, but that person does not have to be an engineer. If you wanted to keep an engineer, like an actual PEng, you're looking at, and this is top of my head, roughly, probably just over $100,000 worth of salary and benefits, depending on the qualifications and the experience that you try to recruit. And that's quite a substantial amount in the current budget. So I feel we can get by without a PEng on staff. We do have some consulting fees in both consulting budget in both the operations and the water budget, which we use whenever we need the services for design services for PEng. We do that already. And I guess that's my thoughts on the matter.
Thank you. And I'm assuming that if in the future, if we do follow through with this, we can always revisit this if we feel there is a need. Councillor Christie, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. This was something that was discussed at great length within the council level. And I had some initial concerns myself, Councillor Baker, but I was satisfied, and I think the council was satisfied with the explanation given by the CAO that our current town engineer, even though they are of that designation and in that position, that we still had to go out for 99% of the projects to outside sources anyway. So the title really didn't mean anything at that point in time. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McDonald, but that kind of helped me make my decision that I was okay with this. I, at first looking at this, thinking we do need one, but looking at past history of how it's been used. And I know we have some significant projects coming up, which would be above and beyond the scope of anybody that we had on staff or even could bring on staff. So I just wanted to kind of make sure that, my understanding of that wasn't incorrect, and that the rest of the council kind of heard that and kind of came to the same conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Christie. Councillor Bothrow.
Yes, Your Worship. Initially, I wanted to spend more time looking at this whole concept of whether or not we could use an actual town engineer. But at this point, I'm satisfied with the CEO's explanation. And I would like us to just keep in mind that somewhere 8 to 10 months from now, we revisit this and make sure that we are still satisfied that we can get along with the current staff. Thank you.
Absolutely correct. All right. If there are no other questions about the amendment, then we'll put the amendment to a vote. And as per usual on Zoom, I'm only going to ask for nay votes on the amendment. So if you are negative about the amendment, please raise your hand.
Nay vote.
Nay vote. Okay, Deputy Mayor. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nay votes, myself included. So the amendment is defeated. So we will now go back to the original motion. And are there any further questions or discussion on the original motion? All right, then we will put the original motion to a vote. And once again, only nay votes, please. Raise your hand for nay votes. I see one nay vote from Councillor Baker. And so the motion carries 6-1 with the one negative vote. Thank you very much. That takes us now to our next item, which is the appointment of directors. And if I could, I would like to ask Councillor Fothrop if you wouldn't mind presenting the synopsis and making the motion. It'll take a moment to get there. There we
Yes,
go.
your worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fothrop.
Appointment of directors. Upon the appointment of a new chief administrative officer this year, it has been resolved in a required realignment of duties in several key areas within the organization. 4 existing staff members are being recommended / reassigned to director positions. And here's the motion, your worship, members of council. That council formally approve the appointments of Kimberly Jones, Director of Corporate Communications and Community Wellbeing, Aaron Bourgeois, Director of Operations, Andrew Fisher, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives, Gregory Jones, Director of Fire Services.
Thank you very
And if
much.
that's the end of the
We have a second.
motion, I make it.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for the motion, please? Councillor Baker, your hand went up first. Are you seconding the motion?
Yes, I am, your worship.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? No questions or discussion further, then I will put this to a vote. Are there any nay votes, please? Raise your hand for nay votes. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. And our third and final item is the election of the chair for the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Committee. And if I could, I would ask Councillor Emery to address this by nominating the
All right,
person of
thank-
choice. Sorry.
Okay, so you want me to make the nomination, or you want me to read the,
Well, you can read that
Okay.
if you wish, I think for the record, and then if you would make a nomination for the position of chair.
okay, thank you. The terms, your worship, members of council, the terms of reference for this committee states the process for the election of chair and vice chair rests with council. Section 4, members of the committee will be selected as follows. Section 4, subsection 1, council will select their own representatives. Subsection 2, the chair and vice chair shall be appointed by council. At the September 27th, 2021 meeting of council, the following 2 councilors were appointed to the committee, Deputy Mayor Davidson and Councilor Emery. I would ask that council make these appointments now in order to facilitate the work of this committee. And at this time, I would like to nominate Deputy Mayor Davidson as chair of the committee, Diversity
very
and
much.
Equity Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And seconding that, I see a hand from Councillor Christie.
Yes, I'll second that.
All right, thank you very much. So are there any questions or any further discussion on the nomination? All right, then we will put this to a vote. Anyone not in favor, please raise their hand as a nay vote. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. So congratulations, Deputy Mayor Davidson, as chair of that committee. And as the other member of council on that committee, Councillor Emery is the vice chair of the committee. Thank you very much. And that brings this formal meeting of council to an end. So I would seek a motion to adjourn. Councillor Landry,
Yes, your worship. Thank you.
and second, thank you. A seconder, please. Nobody wants to end the meeting. Councillor Christie, thank you. Are there any objections? If not, meeting is adjourned.